Hello, Michael Chigani, and this is Straight Talk. With me today is Emily Lau. Emily Lau, you were the chairperson of the Democratic Party. You were also a legislative councillor for many, many years, a well-known figure in Hong Kong. Now, the one thing I remember you and others like Martin Lee have said is you believe very strongly that democracy will come one day to Hong Kong. Full democracy will come to Hong Kong. After what happened in Beijing last week with an overhaul of the electoral system, do you still believe, Emily, that democracy one day will still come to Hong Kong? It seems very unlikely.
Well, yeah, but I still hope so, and we'll work at it. But of course, things look extremely difficult now, and particularly in the coming days when the details of Beijing's this big surgery is known, then we will see how many corpses are there lying in the streets. It is very, very sad that we have come to this state. And very sad because Beijing has not consulted the Hong Kong people.
Well, neither did Beijing consult Hong Kong with the national security law.
No, they didn't on that and this one. And they did not even consult the pro-Beijing camp. These politicians, business people, they were not consulted either.
So do you think Carrie Lam was consulted?
I don't think so. The same with the national security law. So I think, as some of the pro-Beijing figures said, Beijing is really very fed up with what's happening, particularly in the last few years. So they are going to seize control and complete control. But is it really going to work, even according to their plan? Because they are going to set up this big election committee for the chief executive, increasing it by hundreds.
Well, 300, I think.
Yeah. And how do they select these people to sit on the committee?
You have to be patriots. They'll select patriots, right?
Well, the thing is, some of the patriots that they will use to select them are maybe the NPC people or the CPPCC. But as Professor Song Yanwing of the Chinese U, who seemed to be quite close to Beijing, he said on radio just 1 or 2 days ago, he said if you use these CPPCC people to help you to select, and many of them have dual nationality, you're talking about patriots. So are you really doing the right thing to help you?
They haven't defined what a patriot is. But what you said was Beijing is very, very fed up. Some people would argue that they have a right to be fed up because of what we saw in 2019. People throwing petrol bombs and smashing up MTRs and shops and so on. And Beijing said, well, enough is enough. You know, if you can't handle it, we're going to take care of it. And that's what they did. So do they have that right, you think?
Well, of course, we hope that they would have done it, differently. First of all, I agree that Carrie Lam did not do her job. You know, when the thing first blew up, she disappeared from sight for 1 month or more. And then the pro-Beijing camp, those people in the Executive Council, Legislative Council, the big tycoons, they didn't help her to sort this out. In fact, some of them said that they pushed her. When she wanted to withdraw the bill, they said no. So they're all in it. And Beijing should be very upset with them for, not having the ability to settle the crisis.
But does that still make it right for protesters to go and throw petrol bombs?
No, I never supported violence. You know, Michael, sure. I've been in politics for decades. I always support peaceful, non-violent demonstrations. And those things that happen, of course, we never condone them. So the thing to do is not to get people to go out and beat them up and all that, is to have engagement and dialogue. And Carrie Lam tried once at the Queen Elizabeth
Well, it didn't just once, and it didn't really...
No, she didn't do it. But if you want to have dialogue, you just don't have it once. So she did not try to solve the problem. And if Beijing people say, oh, well, I'm fed up with you, you created this mess. But Beijing should not now turn around and say, okay, I am going to crush whatever space there is for civil society, for people to choose some of their representatives into LegCo or to the district council. I don't think that is the right approach.
Tell me this, Emily. Elsie Leung, who's very close to Beijing,
of course.
Elsie Leung, she used to be the Justice
Chief
Secretary as
Secretary
well.
for Justice.
For quite at the handover time. Now, she said a few days back, in effect, it's your fault. Because, we offered, Beijing offered a plan for democracy in 2014. It was not, people said it was not real democracy because the candidates for the chief executive had to be selected and then they can run. But then Elsie Leung said, if you had done that and other things after the handover, we wouldn't be at this stage. So, you people, you Hong Kong people, your opposition, you did it. You created what happened now.
I don't think Elsie said just that. She said that, yes. And of course, I can tell you, someone from the blue camp recently said, if we had supported that, tell you what, John Zhang would not have been nominated. Justice Wu would not have been nominated. So, okay, you have one person, one vote, but just one candidate, Carrie Lam. So that's what the person said. Anyway, and Elsie also said that in these two decades, all of us have not managed things properly.
Right.
We're all to blame. Maybe we've been spoiled or whatever. So it seems people are turning around. Some will accuse us. Some will accuse everybody and saying Beijing is hopping mad. And this guy Ma Fengguo, who's in LegCo and NPC delegate, he was on radio saying, Beijing just could not bear it anymore. He said it 5 times. Well, maybe they're very angry. But you should try to find an effective way of dealing with the problem and not to just come down on us like a ton of bricks. And us not meaning just our camp, but Hong Kong. Because looking at the English language media, Beijing is going to turf out many of the so-called royal trash and rubber stamps. So, and the business tycoons. So they're all going to be hit if these English media reports are accurate, and we will find out in 1 or 2 days.
Well, you said that with these new changes, there's virtually no room for the opposition,
or even for them.
even for them. So now, is there any room at all for the opposition, or is it the end of the road for the opposition?
Well, I don't think there is ever a thing called end of the road. For people who love the place they live in, they will work hard to preserve what they cherish. Maybe, of course, in the process, people may have to make huge sacrifices. If you look at Myanmar or Thailand.
But you don't suggest that to happen in Hong Kong. People have lost lives.
No. But I mean, people, make sacrifices for what they believe in. And in Hong Kong, maybe it's not the same scenario, but there are many people in Hong Kong who are prepared to struggle in a peaceful and non-violent way for a free lifestyle and for personal
Would they dare,
safety.
Emily? Because nowadays with the national security law, you don't even know where the red lines are.
I know, but what do you do? I mean, I still come on to your show. Maybe after this, I will not be able to come on anymore. But still, I think we have to do what we believe in and take the consequences.
But then if you for a moment look at the other side, look at how Beijing views Hong Kong, and Beijing firmly believes that Hong Kong is being used, and Beijing saw...
Used by whom?
Well, they say foreign forces, that Beijing believes that foreign forces are interfering in Hong Kong, threatening national security. If they believe that, and then they saw what happened in 2019, then they have to say, okay, this is part of China, and we have to take control. They have that right.
Well, they all along they have control. And if they say there's foreign interference, and I remember former chief executive Siwai Leung said that in the Legislative Council, and I think he said it on your show.
Sure.
Okay, show us the evidence. That's what the president then of LegCo, Jasper Zhang, said. Where is the evidence? Up to today, I haven't seen the evidence. And anyway, but Hong Kong is so small. We are completely under Beijing's control. I don't think they need to be, so heavy-handed with Hong Kong.
What do you think they should have done?
As I said, they should talk to the people, dialogue.
Will the people listen?
War.
This is the problem. Will people listen? Will the opposition listen?
Well, if there are people prepared to talk, of course they will talk to them. Not everybody, but many will talk. I'm sure people want to have a dialogue with the people in power so that we can try to work out how to solve the problems facing Hong Kong. People understand that these are very serious problems facing Hong Kong, and we want to solve the problems. And we know that we cannot do it in one leap. So we have to. But if they refuse to engage us and just say, okay, you're all out, we're in, I don't think that would really help them to solve the problem. Just wait and see.
Okay, so that's not going to solve the problem. What do you think will happen with this new thing? Just before the break, very quickly, you said that won't happen. What will happen?
Well, if they just chase out all the opposition voices and also do a house cleaning with the pro-Beijing camp, I don't know who will be left there. I don't know whether they are truly loyal and capable.
All right.
So maybe you just get a bunch of people who are so incompetent, they will still not help Beijing to solve the problem.
Okay, quick break. See you soon. Don't go away. Straight up with me is Emily Lau, the former chairperson of the Democratic Party. Now, Emily, just before the break, I discussed many different issues. One issue is that Beijing said Hong Kong must be governed by patriots. Now, can you tell me, in your own words, what you think a patriot is?
I am a patriot.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, are you a patriot?
Of course I'm a patriot.
Why would you say that?
Members of my party are patriots. We do not support independence. We support one country, two systems, a high degree of autonomy, Hong Kong people running Hong Kong, and so the basic law and all that. So, of course, we're patriots.
But your members, the Democratic Party members in recent months and in years, have been blocking many things in Legislative Council and filibustering.
I mean, these things are allowed, even under the basic law. So, okay, I can see that the administration could be
They say they can't achieve anything because of that.
They're very frustrated because of the filibuster. So, what do? You talk to them. I think many LegCo members, we have 8-party coalition, Michael, not too many years ago. I think many members are prepared to talk, to make compromise, and then they have their say, and the thing can go forward. But if you don't consult nobody, and you just say, oh, pass this, of course people are furious. And some of those in the pro-Beijing camp, they told me they are very upset too, because they didn't get consulted either. So the Carrie Lam administration thinks, they know best. And if they treat legislators like dirt, well, what do you expect?
But then, to be fair to the other side, for the 2014 political reform package, right, that Beijing offered Hong Kong, there was some kind of consultation, and it was supposed to pass the Legislative Council before it becomes law, right? It was a one person, one vote for the chief executive, and then thereafter...
But with a very high threshold for nomination.
And then thereafter, there would be direct elections for all of LegCo seats, right? But the Democratic camp voted it down. In hindsight, should you have done that? If you haven't, we wouldn't be where we are today.
No, Michael. As I said, even somebody from their camp said that if that package had been passed, it would be very clear that John Tsang would not have got enough nominations.
But that's just that one person saying that. How do you know?
Well, I think many people would agree because it's not easy to get 601 nominations. So that is the test. The test is the threshold is so high, so many people cannot get it. So what do? So only one candidate the candidate that's favored by Beijing will get it. So that is not real democracy. What is the definition of universal suffrage? Is an election in which there is no unreasonable limitations, thereby giving the voters genuine choice. Genuine choice. I have said, even if you don't amend the basic law, we can still use the article in the basic law to craft a real universal suffrage election. First of all, you broaden the franchise for people electing to the election committee so they can be, as the basic law said, broadly representative. You lower the threshold. The current threshold is 12.85%, but they wanted to lift it to 51%. 51 is no good. I mean, 12.5, 15%, if that's the threshold, it will enable 3 or 4 candidates to be nominated, thereby giving voters genuine choice.
But you don't have that now. That genuine choice is gone for good, I think, right?
Not for good, but it's gone. It's very difficult, yeah.
Well, it's difficult because somebody told me that the opposition camp, put all their chips on black on a roulette table, and they came out red. So they lost everything. Now it's fact that the opposition has lost everything, right?
Well, I mean,
was that wrong?
Well, what do you expect us to do? Either we say yes to that package or we said no. And we said no, so then you say you put all your chips there. If we had said yes and voted in something that is a fake universal suffrage, I think we cannot even tell our descendants, the people, oh, why did you vote for that? That is not real universal suffrage.
But then the counter argument is by not voting for that, you got something even worse.
But it shouldn't be like that. Okay, we didn't vote for it. Then let us talk. Let us talk and see if we can come up with another compromise.
Is there still room now to talk?
It's up to Beijing. I mean, it's not for us to say, yeah, we want to talk, but if they refuse to talk to Hong Kong people, what can we do? But I hope some fair-minded people will tell Beijing that the current approach is not the right one. You don't need to, beat Hong Kong with this big stick so that most will be dead. I mean, that's not the way to solve the problem. Hong Kong is a tiny city. We are part of China, and people are not trying to, use violence to declare independence. Nothing like that.
But Beijing believes that, some of the Beijing officials said recently during their meeting that they were fed up because during the protest, people were carrying foreign flags, and they believed that foreign interference was making these people go out into the streets and throwing petrol bombs and so on. They believed that. If they believed that, then they came down with a big stick.
Well, if people have broken the law, even without the NSL, the national security, we have lots of laws. If people have broken the law, you arrest them and you charge them, that's okay. But there are many people who haven't done that. But they want the government to consult us. They want to be able to sit down and see how we can craft a way forward. So you cannot always say, oh, if you want to talk, oh, look at all that there. No, I won't talk. I just want to come and strangle one of you.
What they've done is now, some of your former colleagues in LegCo and from your party as well, people like James Toll, and then from the Civic Party, Dr. Kokaki, and all these other people, Jeremy Tam, they have been sitting here before on this show, and now they've all been arrested. Some of them are actually in jail. Well, not in jail, but they've been denied bail.
Locked up, yeah.
They've been locked up. So nobody from the opposition dares to come out anymore and talk because they're all afraid. Is that good for Hong Kong?
Of course it's not. And I certainly hope that Beijing would not try to intimidate the people like that. And I hope that people will want to, come out and speak their mind like they have done for a long time.
But they have also done it in the wrong way, using violence and so on.
Well,
right?
I never did.
No, you didn't, but some of the others did.
As I said, if people have broken Hong Kong laws and they go and deal with them, that's fair game. But for those millions who haven't broken Hong Kong laws, and we want to engage the authorities, and we cannot.
Well, the 47 that they arrested, Hong Kong government says they did break the law because they took part in an unofficial primary.
How can be taking part in an unofficial primary be against the law? I think even the DAB, they have had their own
But this one
primary.
they argued that this one had a motive to have an unofficial primary to select candidates for LegCo. Once these people are elected into LegCo, they'll vote down the budget twice, forcing the chief executive to resign. That was the plan. And the central government says that is subversion.
I don't think my party signed up to anything.
No, your
like
party didn't, but others
So
did.
I cannot speak for others. I'm not their representative.
But some of your party members did take part in that primary.
We took part in the primary to try to narrow down the number of candidates, which is something quite reasonable. If you have an election coming up and you have 50, 60 people who want to stand, of course that's madness. So why don't we find a way that everybody agree so that we can pick a few candidates instead of having this mad rush?
Now the selection committee, the chief executive election committee, is going to vet all LegCo members as well before they can actually run. And the directly elected members of LegCo will be shrunken to less than even what it is now. But now, we are where we are now, right? I mean, there's not much we can do. But there has always been this accusation that, some of the political parties, the opposition parties, have received money from the National Endowment for Democracy, NED. You were the chairperson of the Democratic Party. Did your party ever receive any money from the DEM?
No, never. We receive money from Hong Kong people.
Do you believe other parties receive money from the National Endowment?
How do I know? I can't speak for them. I just don't know. But I think that you say now it's all a done deal. Yeah. But in spite of that, I think we will continue to speak out and tell Beijing and the people who can talk to Beijing that we don't think that's the right thing to do. And you need not crack down on Hong Kong so hard. And in the process, you just destroy.
But was it right for some opposition members to go to the United States and ask the U.S. government to sanction Hong Kong?
Well, I mean, as I said, I can't represent them. And so, as I said, if anybody has broken Hong Kong laws, then they can deal with it. But otherwise, Hong Kong as it is, we are free, we are safe, we are vibrant, and we've never had democracy.
Okay, I've got 30 seconds left. Do you see Hong Kong still as a free society? What you just said, we're free, we're vibrant, and we never had democracy. Look down the crystal ball now and tell me what you see in the future of Hong Kong.
I don't have a crystal ball. I see grave difficulties ahead. But I also see Hong Kong people who want to do their best to preserve what we have and to tell Beijing that, it need not crack down on us like that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. See you next time. Good evening.